All right, well, let's continue with the story now. And joining us is the Premier of KZN, Sihle Zikalala. Good evening and thank you so much for your time on News at Prime. It's incredible to me that the Department of Education and Social Development, these are departments that are tasked with the most vulnerable within our communities, that you would find corruption of this level taking place in both those departments. Speak to us about how you think this happened.
Well, what we can tell is the report on Department of Social Development, where there's been a full investigation, and we have found that there have been elements of corruption and happening when we all have to consolidate our efforts and support the needy people during this time of COVID-19. People use the very same pandemic and try to squander money of government through procurement processes that they would say it's about or it's within the disaster framework. And the investigation that we've conducted have proved that this procurement was not, in fact, in line with the regulations issued by the Treasurer. The key issues is two projects. The first one is a project of the PPEs, which was procured by the Department of Social Development. The second one is the project of blankets, and which cost the department about 22 million. The first one, the department paid 19 million. So you will see that this is a lot, and it's the manner in which it is happening. It is like a scheme within the department, and that's what we have to deal with.
It's interesting to me because you said that there will be consequences, but who has been suspended? Who has been held accountable for what has happened here? You can't have those amounts of money simply being used without the proper signatures on those documents.
Yes, indeed. For today, we were presenting the report, and the next step now is to kickstart the disciplinary actions. And those who are implicated will need to be suspended and face consequences. We have to ensure that we fight this trend of corruption and uproot corruption in all spheres of government and in all departments. Not one department and not being selective, but we must deal with it wherever it shows it ugly.
Sure, but when will this happen?
We have given the department a period of 2 weeks to ensure that they start implementing the report as it is. But the Premier's office will be working with them, monitoring that this work is done accordingly and without any fear or favor.
Talk to me about the MEC for Social Development, because I find it unbelievable that 40-odd million can be spent irregularly within a department and the MEC not know about it, because the mere size of those projects would mean that on some level there would have needed to be some exchange of information.
The MEC was aware of the project as it is, not that she was part of procuring. But what happened is that they discussed the program. The program on its own is not wrong entirely, but the manner in which it was then implemented is what became wrong. And therefore, we are dealing with those who are involved. And if it happens that there is someone who says the MEC was involved, we will have to deal with that too, but based on the facts. Right now, we are dealing with the report based on the submission made by all officials who were involved. And that's why we have then said those involved officials must then face the music.
The MEC is the custodian of the department. So are you saying that you haven't had any kind of conversation with her to find out exactly what has been happening in her department? Because if this can happen in this instance, who's to say that there are no other contracts that are currently being signed off under her watch while she's not aware of what's happening?
The MEC is a custodian and she's a political head and executive authority. She accounts and she is going to give us her own part on saying what else is happening. But she is the one who has been cooperating also on the investigating and leading, trying to assist the process of investigating. Hence, we have managed to have this report.
Let's talk about some of the challenges that you've been facing at your hospitals when it comes to the treatment of COVID-19 patients. We've gotten reports of some of your hospitals being overwhelmed by the influx of patients. Edenvale Hospital in Pietermaritzburg, Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Hospital in Phoenix. Some reports coming from both those hospitals. Give us a sense of how you're dealing with those pressures.
We are dealing with the situation. The capacity in hospitals is beginning to, is not that it is exhausted for now. We have lots of people who are being admitted, but we still have some areas like our field hospitals that are still having a less occupancy rate, a rate that will be less than 10%. So we will be using those field hospitals to ensure that all people who need care and support are getting the services they deserve.
Are you going to have enough beds and oxygen to deal with the influx of COVID-19 cases? The minister is warning that KZN would soon overtake Gauteng when it comes to becoming the new epicenter of the virus. We don't know how long that's going to take, but it seems to be part of the modeling they're working around.
Yes, we are taking that advice and we are already preparing ourselves for the worst situation. And right now we can say that in terms of the capacity of the hospitals and beds availability, we will be having that capacity. But we are working with the minister to ensure that in terms of oxygen and other equipment that will be needed, they also assist.
Sure, let's leave it there for tonight. The KZN Premier, Sihle Zikalala, giving us a roundup then on some of the issues that have come out of that province.